Hey everyone, my name is Abby Kaufman, and I chose the topic of tourism and disaster just because as a Floridian, I know the impact of tourism and disaster on areas, and I wanted to just do a little bit more in-depth research. So, as we know, a disaster is a dangerous event that causes significant human and economic loss, demands a crisis response beyond the scope of any single agency or jurisdiction. As we've gone over in class in our assignments and research, a disaster is a catastrophic event that happens that causes the environment, our communities, and human loss. Tourism is a commercial organization and operation of places to visit of interest for people who want to stay outside their normal environment for leisure purposes. There are two major types of disasters. There's the natural disasters, which is any event or force of nature that has catastrophic consequences. We think of natural disasters, we think of volcanoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, things of those nature. Then we look at man-made disasters, which are human-made hazards, can result in the form of a human-made disaster, pretty much meaning that we have either a human negligence or of intent that happened and can cause significant injuries to the environment, to structures in our buildings and our communities, or deaths of humans. So, disasters can occur without any notice. Those include human-made and natural. For many countries and regions, tourism is a major source of income and helps regulate the economy. So when we have a disaster that can occur without any notice, we see that it can eliminate jobs, businesses can suffer, and our communities can be devastated. And it kind of causes regions who rely on tourism and just regions in general to kind of go into shock. I wanted to focus on Florida just because we live in Florida and it's a good source of interest. Florida needs tourism to keep the economy from collapsing. It is the main source of income for our state, and we receive about 80 million visitors a year. So Florida relies extremely heavily on tourism. Hurricanes. Florida is a common target for hurricanes. Hurricanes are storms that bring heavy rainfall and powerful winds, and in addition, greatly affect tourism and the millions of visitors that tourism brings throughout the year. Hurricanes have an ability to deal massive amounts of destruction to areas they hit. Hurricanes are big, huge storms that come in and just have an ability to just wipe out areas, wipe out businesses, wipe out life, the environment, buildings, and all these different things. And when you wipe out businesses, when you wipe out communities, that's going to affect your area, tourism areas, and tourists. So these areas are wiped out. They can no longer perform what they want to do for the tourists, and tourists don't come. I wanted to focus primarily on a certain, the four hurricanes in 2004. There were four big hurricanes in 2004: Charlie, Francis, Jean, and Ivan, and they ranged from Category 2 to Category 4 hurricanes. And these four storms, which came back to back, caused about $40 million in damage. Studies were done, and a fifth of the potential summer visitors told researchers from USA Today that they would really consider coming and more importantly avoiding the great state of Florida in fear of these storms. And 1/3 of the vacationers believe many places in Florida have been destroyed, and it's just not a good place to visit because these areas have been destroyed and are just not what they expect from Florida. And so we are creating this reputation from news and pictures online that these areas in Florida are just destroyed and wiped out by these hurricanes, and people are being turned away and not as much just wanting to come to Florida to visit and to spend their money. When we look at man-made disasters, the best one we can look at most recently is the BP oil spill, which occurred in the Gulf of Mexico, and approximately 210 million gallons of oil leaked in the Gulf over that time span. The Oxford Economic Study predicted that it would affect the tourism aspect and the tourism sector of all the Gulf of Mexico and West Coast area of Florida for 3 years and cost the region to lose about $22.7 billion. A year after the oil spill, Florida had not only to deal with the beaches that were hit, but the perception that the coast was covered with oil. 90% of Florida's beaches were not only affected, but but had the perception that they were covered in oil. I remember going to the west coast of Florida in the midst of the oil spill, kind of expecting to see oil all over the beaches and black everywhere, and that wasn't the case. 90% of the beaches weren't even hit, but there was this perception from publicity and news and pictures that you're going to walk up and down the beaches and it was just going to be covered in black. People see this and they're turned off and they don't want to come spend their money and don't want to come vacation in Florida. Overall, we see that tourism and disasters are very much intertwined, especially for regions that rely so heavily on tourism. Florida is just one of those regions of many parts of the world that have been affected by disasters and have had their tourism sector really hit hard. As time goes on, however, we do see that technology is advancing, and we hope that if and when disasters do strike, that we can be more properly prepared, and so the effects won't be as bad, and when they do hit, that we can recover quicker and get back to our normal aspect. Thank you very much.